What's going on, everybody? This is Drew here. I want to welcome you all to a brand new episode of Phoenix Down. This is Phoenix Down 102.2, and we're continuing our playthrough of Lost Odyssey. Today I have with me Matt.
Hello.
And yeah, I feel like I didn't get very far.
Yeah, I put a lot of hours in the last week. I probably put in 9 hours. A little of that was to catch up. A little of that was backtracking and looking for items. A lot of that was grinding.
Yeah.
And a good amount of that was progress. But yeah, it's interesting. The game has taken on a much different shade to me in the last 1.5 sessions because I'm settling in more to it. I'm like, all right, I know that when I reach a new area, I kind of know what to do. The first couple of battles, back to that point, the first couple of battles in every new section are a little bit rough, and that's perfect. And I know that there's no point in grinding in the traditional sense, but also there is kind of still a need to grind because I don't want to hit a boss under-leveled.
Right.
But then I'm still doing grinding for other reasons, mostly to get more SP and to distribute out, all the abilities and skills. I learned a few new things this week, like all of those slot seeds. I finally used them, and I was like, holy shit, this game just got way different.
Oh, really? I haven't used any slot seeds.
Yeah, I hadn't either, and I had built up 12 or 14 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out they are super, super useful.
So what do those do?
They give your immortals extra spell slots.
So you use one on one person kind of thing?
Yeah, I used 6 on one and 6 on the other.
Gotcha.
And then it's such a restriction, or it felt like such a restriction, only having 3 spell slots. And I said, all right, looks like they're getting around that a little bit by the ability to combine different spells together, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You can use 1 slot to get 2 types of skills. But even then, 3 slots per character is absurd. And now, all of a sudden, going from 3 all the way up to 9 or 10, it was amazing. I'm like, oh, all these things that I was like, yeah, this is never going to make the top 3, so it's pointless. Now, all of a sudden, can easily make the top 10 skills.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it looks like I need to use those up then, because I still haven't.
Yeah, I figured you were going to give them to someone. Like I gave my regular seeds to the Peapod. I figured I'd give my slot seeds to a slot machine. I don't know.
Yeah.
Turns out they're super useful.
Okay. Well, good. But, yeah, the last thing we left off on, I had done something that you hadn't, Matt. We had found Mac. Mac had run off into the Crimson Forest, and you were right there at the end of it. It was legit 20 minutes worth.
Yep. Yeah, I was only another 15 or 20 minutes away from that boss fight.
So we make it to the boss fight. So I have to mention, I think I said it last week, but I'm going to reiterate it here. There is a mechanic in this game, particularly in this dungeon, where you have to dodge boulders.
Yeah, you do. And it was kind of a pain in the butt.
Yes, it was. So I was dodging boulders and got hit multiple times. Did not realize, because I'm an idiot, that they were taking down my hit points every time I got hit. And,
yeah, because you're outside of that.
Yeah. But it does pop up. I noticed that later on, but I was like, oh. But yeah, I got hit a lot of times and got into a random battle trying to climb back up to the stairs. And started the battle with 2 of my characters having 2 hit points. And they got one-shotted, and then the rest of my team got wiped too. And I was like, well, I'm done for the day.
Yep.
Yeah, I turned that game off. I was like, I'm not doing that. So, yeah. And to be completely honest with you, because I don't have the time anymore, I have been using the save point exploit, where if I'm running around and I find a save point, guess what? I'm saving, quitting the game, and coming back into it with full HP and full MP. Because
yeah, I've done that. For sure.
Why the hell not? Because every other turn-based RPG has an item that lets you do that. So why the hell would you not have that in your game? Make it more challenging, sure. If you want to make it more challenging, I don't care about that. So, yeah, I'm going to save and quit, and then come right back in. But yeah, I have. So full disclosure, I have been doing that this entire time.
Yeah, I've done it 3 or 4 times when I realized I was going to have to use up a vast majority of my healing and mana potions to get back to normal, and I just said, why would I do that?
Exactly.
Why would I put myself at such a disadvantage later?
So yeah, but anyway, after we make it past the Indiana Jones section, we make it to the door, and when we enter into this main area here, we have Mac basically being possessed by the spirit of the Crimson Forest. I would say that's what that is.
Yeah, I really expected the boss in the Crimson Forest to be redder.
That's what I was thinking too. It was very blue.
Yeah, it's very blue, very octopus-like with its tentacles.
Yeah.
Didn't really feel like a forest creature, but...
So Mac is being possessed by the spirit, and it is projecting this monster that is like an octopus. It's a bunch of tentacles. One of the tentacles grabs Cook and holds her. I've seen these in games before. So our party member is useless right now. One of our party members, is 2 of them technically, are useless, and we have to rescue both of them. First being Cook, which we can easily do by just chopping that tentacle until it lets her go. And then she joins the party again, and we can continue with the fight. But eventually, we are able to basically, I guess, suppress the spirit for a while. It leaves Mac's body and is now behind him, but he's standing in front. And we can't just attack it. We have to go after Mac first. To which we're like, okay, well, we don't want to kill my grandson.
Yeah, because unlike me, he's not an immortal.
Yeah. So, the best thing to do is put him into incapacitated state, which is put him to sleep. So that's what I did. I cast sleep on him.
Yep.
And I'm going to be honest with you, and I have found this in almost every other JRPG I've ever played. I get spells that paralyze, poison, put to sleep, blind, that sort of thing. Never do those things work on bosses. And I feel like I would never use them in regular battles. Why would I ever use sleep in a regular battle?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of scenarios in other games where that's happened. I mean, I guess the argument for using it is that you can then turn your attention to the other if you've got 2 enemies, right? So you can fight them one at a time.
Sure.
But I think things would have to be so well tuned to where that would be a necessary option.
Yeah.
Because usually either they're going to kill me or I'm going to kill them, and I actually think that's a thing that this game does fairly well, is balance out these battles. Again, as we mentioned, the simple battles can be difficult if you're not prepared, or if you come in with 2 characters at 2 hit points.
Yeah.
You know, the bosses are challenging if you don't use the right strategy. You kind of have to figure that out as you go a little bit. And, you know, this is a game where I might have expected an option like that to work better, just because it seems like the way they've tuned the levels in the battles, everything feels fairly important in the battle. Like every choice kind of matters a little bit.
Yeah. The only game I can think of where status effects actually affect the bosses was a game that we played together, which was the Trails of Cold Steel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
In since we played that, I finally slowly built up 2 and 3. Haven't
I
played them, but I
I have
finally
two.
acquired them.
The strange thing is I have two on the PSP, or not the PSP, the PS Vita, which I do not own a Vita. I own a PlayStation. uh, PSTV was what it was called, I think. PlayStation TV.
Yeah, Vita was it Vita TV?
It might have been.
PS.
It might have been Vita TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that little card. I found it the other day because I was playing out some stuff. And I was
Huh.
like, "Oh right, I have two games on this thing."
Yeah, until I finally switched over to buy the Amazon dongle. I had always had the intent to buy a PS TV.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Trails of Cold Steel. That was the first and only game I've ever seen that the bosses you can totally put to sleep and you can paralyze them and stuff like that, and it's viable. I'm this game as I learn in this play session, there's some old school JRPG tropes that I am glad have died.
Huh. Yeah, sadly, random encounters is still ever present here.
Random encounters is one of them, and the thing we were talking about right before the show. Crap! Now I've lost it. We'll get into it. I'm sure it'll jog my memory. The weird thing about the leveling up system, you know, you
I don't hate it as much as I thought I was going to be honest.
I still really am pissed off I'm getting robbed of XP.
Yeah, I was, except that the fact that I can level up backup characters and the fact that I can get SP and am starting to appreciate that value a lot more, especially just at kind of the tail end of this play session,
Yeah.
mean that I feel like I'm still getting a lot out of those, or enough out of those battles.
Well, but yeah. So we put back to the boss fight. We put Mac to sleep, and then we can take on the boss. We can fight him, but Mac will wake back up, which only happened one turn, so I was able to just do it again. Boss wasn't very difficult for me.
Yeah, not too much.
Yeah. But after beating the spirit of the Crimson Forest, Mac's like, sorry, I wanted to. He heard that going to the Crimson Forest, you could speak to people who have passed. But he gets something here. So since the spirit of the forest possessed him, he can now use spirit magic. I guess that's what happened.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was because he was possessed or just because he formed a connection in the forest.
It could have been either one at this point, but
it's pretty useful. So I'm glad he did whatever he did.
Yeah, it's spirit magic's like almost like a buffer magic. Which, again,
between that and it being non-elemental, which is super helpful.
Yeah, it's being basically like a physical attack kind of thing. He's a strange character. So you've got Kime and you've got Seth, who are like your warrior knight type characters who are going to, be the attackers, the tanks kind of thing.
They come in with swords.
Exactly.
So you kind of know what they're doing.
You got Jansen, who is like a typical black mage. Or I would say more like a red mage, maybe. I don't know. Like as far as Final Fantasy mages go, because he uses white magic and black magic pretty good.
Yeah,
I feel like he tips more toward the black magic.
Yeah, I agree. And because of that, and because of the party composition, he's become more of a black mage for me.
Yeah. And then you got Cook, who is your white mage, really good at prayers and healing. And then you've got Mac. And Mac is a weird one because Mac can actually do some pretty decent physical damage, but
Yeah.
he also has the ability to use different types of magic.
I was calling him like a monk.
That's what I was going to say too. He's basically a monk.
Just a very young monk.
Yeah. But that's what I kind of felt like. He felt like a monk to me.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we decided we're going to go back to Namara. Or Namara. I still don't know how to pronounce that. But as we arrive, there's apparently there's jumbotrons in this universe. So on a giant screen in the plaza, the Ura Prince, or should I say King, has sent out a broadcast to the entire world saying that he has taken up the throne and has now become the king of Ura and disbanded the council because of the untimely death of the head councilman.
By a certain serpent.
Yeah. And he is going to be taking over the affairs of Ura basically by himself with the help of his advisor, which is the sorcerer Gongora. And
yep. So that's come full circle.
Yep.
He gets demoted and put under house arrest, and all of a sudden he's number 2.
Yep. So yeah. And the first order of business, now that he is the new king of Ura, is to ready battle stations. We're going to move in on Namora.
Yeah.
Because he has got footage of the white boa, particularly in Namora, basically docked at the bay of Namora, the port of Namora, and he can only see that as a sign of them getting ready to invade. So he's doing a preemptive strike. He also plays a clip of said footage, and you see and hear a few people from our band of misfits, particularly Jansen himself, saying, looks like they must be getting ready to invade Ura. And then you see Seth standing there. And, of course, everybody in the crowd is looking at our party saying, hey, I'm pretty sure it's these people over here. So they kind of disperse really quickly. And our party's like, yeah, maybe we should get out of here right now. So it's not looking good. They're saying that we are now Oran spies who have been sent to Namora, and the good old Heihachi is now hot on our trail trying to find us.
Yeah, he is. He's all about us.
Yeah. What is his actual name?
Kakanis?
Kakanis. That's right.
General Kakanis.
Because every time I saw it, I saw Kansas. And I was like, it's Kansas again.
It's like Arkansas.
Yep. But, yeah. So the general is definitely trying to find us. So we try to remain hidden, but unfortunately in this city we really can't. So we eventually get surrounded by Numeran forces. And we have a fight with them, almost like a mini boss fight where you have a bunch of guys. Some of these guys hit hard. They got that one attack that like shoots out like a ground wave, like a shock wave.
Yeah.
That sucker did some damage.
Yeah, I've had some shocking battles in this section where I'm used to taking 70, 80, 100 damage, and then all of a sudden I'm taking like 300 or 500.
Yeah, there's one where the the soldier commands the dog to attack you.
Yeah.
And that hurts really, really badly. So,
luckily, our party has swelled enough that it distributes some of those attacks, and I have more opportunities to heal.
yeah, that's the only thing I can hope for at this point is just have a full party, and maybe they'll try to go after my back line, which is not going to do much damage.
Yeah, or Kaim, who's got like 1,300 life at this point.
Yeah. So the only thing we can think of is we get surrounded. We tell because they're bombarding us with like, I guess, cannon fire. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think it was those tanks.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Kaim's like, all right, Cook, Mac, get out of here. Just we'll meet up later. Just go right now.
Let the adults handle this.
Yeah. And so they run off. So they leave the party for a little while. Eventually, we get stopped by the rest of the forces, and Kansas shows up, and we have another fight. But luckily, a giant smoke screen appears, and it shrouds our escape. Cook and Max show back up, and are like, "Hey, we're here to rescue you. Come on." So we is this when the clothes fall off these guys?
I was gonna say when they first encountered us, they have a mage, right, who detects the contact lens that Jensen's wearing.
That's right. I thought that was the second time, but no, it's this time.
Maybe it is.
No,
I thought it was the first time.
It is the first time because we run back into them again after we escape. So Kaim, Jansen, and Seth get captured. Then Cook and Max save us. They take us to like this council area, and they bring out this mage who does a spell on Jansen. They're like, these guys are spies. We're having our mage. He's going to do some work on you. See if we can figure out what exactly you guys are up to. Well, this mage pulls out this like magical contact lens out of Jansen.
Yep. And now that he's done that once or twice earlier in the game, you did see it kind of shimmer, reflect light a little bit, and it almost looked like he had a bionic eye.
That's right. So, that's how they got that footage. So Gongora, without Jansen knowing, implanted this magical... He called it something. I can't remember what it was called. It might have been just called Magic Eye or something.
Yeah, they like defended him, and they're like, "Oh, well, it's possible that it was installed without the subject knowing." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's possible, but why would that be your assumption?"
Apparently,
I didn't quite get that part.
Oh, I can't. I think I think it was just because he was like a powerful mage. He was like, "Yeah, this more than likely was installed without this guy knowing about it." Which, of course, Kansas is like, "I don't care. Take them away. In fact, kill them. They're spies. We don't need them anymore." And that's when the rescue happens. We have a fight. The rescue happens. Smoke screen. We're getting out of here. And I can't remember what happens, but everybody loses their clothes.
Yep. It says that Mac and Cook stole their clothes.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, don't have any idea how, but...
So we escape again. We're now on the run. I think we even get a point where we can like kind of rest for a second.
Yeah, I think so.
And we're like, look, the only way we can actually get out of this is by getting the queen involved. She can help us. Seth says she knows her, and she should really, like, she should remember me. If not, we can probably jog her memory. But we need her help now more than ever. So we have to go seek out the queen. Ming is her name. So we go back to
Is this the part where you go into the courtyard?
Yeah.
And like you can run around the outside and there's like 75 of those little pots, but you're getting chased by the dogs?
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting chased by the dogs. And I found out that if you search a pot, the dogs stop chasing you and you can kind of run around them.
Yeah. I was going to say they kept getting stuck on everything and
Yeah.
they're not very good guard dogs.
No, not really. But yeah, going through this courtyard, we finally run back into Ming. She is asleep, but like a weird sleep.
Yeah, she does a lot of lounging.
Yeah.
Like, she's a figurehead, I get it, but she does not very much.
So
She's fainting, and sleeping, and lounging, and
yeah.
playing the harp. And
So we wake her up. She remembers Jansen, but she's like, I don't know any of you other guys, including Seth. And Seth's like, look, we were comrades at one point. You're going to need to help us. While this is going on, door kicks open. Bam. It's I was going to say God. Heihachi. But Kansas shows up. And Jensen's like, all right, I got an idea. He takes Ming and does like a magic spark on his hand, and he's like, I'm going to kill her if you guys don't back up right now. And of course, everybody's buying this, and Ming plays along. She's like, all right, there's a back exit to this room. Just hit the button there. And so we go along with it and make our narrow escape. And it allows us to go back out to the main kind of plaza area of Numara. But Kansas isn't done just yet. He orders his giant magical tank to come in. And he attacks us with the tank, straight up just aiming the tank at the queen. And I'm just like, aren't you supposed to be saving her?
yeah, he clearly doesn't like her very much, but this is kind of overt.
Yeah. Which you can tell he doesn't care for the queen anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe he's just thinking, oh, this will just be collateral damage.
Yeah, we'll say somebody else shot a tank at her.
Yeah. So we get into a boss fight with the tank. This fight was a joke.
Yeah, this one was pretty easy.
Yeah. Just if you want to stop it from attacking you with its hard attacks, you take out its like little charging batteries first. Easy peasy.
Yep.
And
it did some decent damage, but it did it so infrequently that it didn't really matter.
Yeah. It was weird. But yeah, it maybe it was supposed to be kind of like a semi joke battle, since this guy is such a comic relief.
Yeah, for being the military general, for sure.
Yeah. After beating him, he can't believe that he's been beaten. This is the best tank in the whole army. And there's that giant arch right above the plaza. He tries to aim at us, but he shoots the arch instead, and it creates kind of a barrier, so he can't make it past us. So we get out of there.
Yeah, even more of his comical incompetence.
Yep. And so Jansen has a bright idea now that we have the queen with us. She joins our party officially. And he's like, hey, there's... Oh, no, it wasn't Jansen, it was Seth. Seth was like, yeah, we need to... I have an idea of how we can get out of here. Let's go to the port. There's a ship there. And go This is the weirdest. This is like the weirdest little section ever to me. Because, one, we run into a race of people that are weird looking that have never been talked about in this game. They're like these little blue guys with all the same faces. They're like little imps or something. And they're all engineers, and they're working on this boat. Okay. We're just running around. I'm assuming that they never actually show Ming in any of these cutscenes. I'm assuming they just see us with the queen, and they don't care.
Yeah, that makes more sense than any of the rest of it.
Yeah. But I never see Ming, so I'm assuming these guys are just okay with random people running around a very important boat that they got.
Yeah, because they're talking this is going to be their flagship.
Yeah.
This is a special engine in it.
Yeah, I got this engine that came out of a... What was it came out of? It was like out of something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I thought they said it was like something they had never seen before, either like a special relic or an artifact or a UFO dropped it.
Yeah, it was something like that.
A large fish washed up on the shore, and it had the engine like in its stomach.
Yeah, that was what it was. But they utilized it and put it on this boat. And so we just decided to steal it. And we as soon as we jump on the boat, everybody's like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" I'm like, well, "Why didn't you stop from coming inside this building anyway?"
What did you think we were going to do?
Yeah. You think we're just coming to look at the boat? And so we escape on the boat with Seth at the helm. She's taking her role as the pirate captain again. And now we have access to the world map officially, where we can go as we please. So, I went to what was blinking on the map.
Yep. We can go anywhere we want, but I'm not sure where we want to go. I just know where the game tells us to go.
Yep. So, I went to where it was blinking on the map, which was the Numara Atoll. Pulled up there, and it's completely empty. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is not where I'm supposed to go. So I go back, leave the Numara Atoll. It takes me back to the map screen where I can choose a destination. Not get on the ship. So I chose a destination, and then Kime just hoofs it to that point. I go back to the Numera port. And I'm just like, okay, how do I get back on the freaking ship? So I had to go back to the map, and I had to travel to a port, a place where you could park the ship.
Yep.
Then I'm in the ship. What the hell? Like, I couldn't figure... I was like, what? And that was like, 10, 15 minutes. I'm just like, I ran around this atoll, nothing there. And I was just like, what is going on here? But yeah, what you're supposed to do is, while you're on the ship, on the world map, or the overworld, you're supposed to go back to the cabin. So you go back to the actual ship where you can walk around as Kime, and then you get a cutscene. Nobody told me to do this.
Yeah, that's one of the marks of this game.
Yeah. And in the cutscene that we have while on the ship, everybody's trying to talk to the new party member, Ming, and everybody is trying to jog her memory. And for some reason, out of nowhere, this cutscene, apparently Kime has remembered a whole lot of stuff that they decided not to show us for some reason. So, but yeah, good job on the game for just skimming through this.
Yeah, here's the funnier part here, I didn't see this. I missed this whole section. I never went to the bridge of the ship.
What? Where did you? How well,
I just got in the ship and drove to a different port option. I think there was one other place we could go to. In the ship, I went over to, I think, directly to the Tusk village.
okay.
And that's it. I never saw this. I'm looking a little bit at what they said, and it seems like it would have been good information to have.
Yeah. So Kime is like, yeah, so Seth is talking to me saying, what did you mean by we used to be comrades? And she's like, you don't remember? Like, yeah, 200 years ago or so many years, 100 years ago, I can't remember how long it was. It's like, yeah, we all fought alongside each other. We're all immortal. And she was naming people. She was like, and Kime chimes in. He's like, yeah, we were all part of a party. It was me, you, Seth, Gongora, and one other person. And I'm like, well, it looks like Kime's starting to remember stuff, and he's the main character. Why are we not shown that he's remembering this stuff?
Yeah, especially when it's this critical.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And Kime also says that they made a pact, 1,000-year pact, agreement. And when the 1,000 years was up, Gongora betrayed them. And I don't know what happened.
Huh.
Yeah. So he's remembering all this stuff. He said the only thing Gongora's trying to do now is make us suffer. And they're like, how are they making you suffer? He's trying to cause us pain. He's like, he took away the thing I cared about the most that I couldn't have. And it was showing the cutscene of Lyram falling. So yeah, there was no. So I take that back. There was one more. So there was Ming, Kime, Seth, Sarah, and then one other person, I think. Which I think
say the 5 immortals.
Yeah.
Kime, Ming, Seth, Gongora, Sarah.
There you go. And so that was, I was like, okay, well, Kime's remembering stuff that they're just not going to show me. So, all right. But Ming says, well, we need to get to Gongora. And they're like, yep, we need to get to Gongora. But we can't make it to Ura on the ship because we have to cross the ocean and it won't survive it. So why don't we stop by this other kingdom? I know of the king there. He doesn't know me, but he knows of me. Maybe we can get his aid. I can't remember the name of the kingdom, but yeah, we go to the was it the Toka village?
Wow, I'm so confused. I thought the whole reason we went there is because we were eventually looking for Sarah.
See, they mentioned Gongora in that cutscene.
Yeah,
but we can't.
Wow, I am shocked that.
Yeah, we went.
I didn't even need to see this cutscene.
Yeah, we're trying to. The end goal is get to Gongora. That's all they talked about the entire time. And she said, "Let's go talk to the king of this other country, and see if we can get his aid." And in order to get there, we had to go to this village that then leads to a cave, but we can't get through the cave because of a sorceress, and that's where we're at.
Wow. This logic of this whole section is very strange to me.
Yeah. I guess that's what happens when you don't tell your players what you're supposed to do.
See, I thought it was so much simpler than that. I thought it was after Lyram died, we said, hey, we need to get some immortals. Let's go find Sarah. Or I need to relay this to Sarah. I didn't know I didn't know anything about Gongora since I never saw that cutscene. I didn't have any actual rationale for going anywhere in the ship, which was a huge gap when I was playing it. I just said, yeah, that's the section that's available to me that's lowest on the list, therefore it must be new, so I guess I'll go there. And the whole like rationale for it was just not existent, other than I guess Sarah must be in this direction.
Yeah. That was what I got. So we go to this village, and when we arrive, everybody recognizes Kime. Man, Kime's back, everybody.
And they're so happy to see him.
Some of these guys are like, you still look the same. And to which I was thinking, how long has he been gone from this village? So apparently, Kime lived in this village with Sarah at one point. But it's been changed at this point. They
I assume he must have been happier then.
I would assume. And then we get a little cutscene where they go to the inn, and Jansen gets Ming drunk.
Yeah, she just passes out right at the table.
Yep. Yeah. So the plan is we want to go. We talk to the barkeep, and he tells us that we kept up your old mansion that you used to live in right outside of town. But after you left, some woman sorceress took over the building, and nobody can go in there anymore. Nobody wants to go in there anymore. And she's also taking control of I think it's called the Black Cave, I think is what it's called.
Yep.
And the Black Cave is where you need to go in order to get to that town, the city where that king is that we need to talk to.
Gohtza.
Kotza?
Right. Gohtza, Gohtza.
Yes, that's the name of the country.
I think so.
The kingdom, yeah.
Yeah.
So, in order for us to get to the Black Cave, we first have to at least go and take down this sorceress that's keeping people from going through it.
Did you do this part in the village where you have to go around and try and find all the statues and throw wreaths on them?
I never got the option. I saw the statues, but I must have missed talking to somebody to throw the wreaths on them.
Yeah, it was basically just, we'll give you a reward the more. There's like 16 of them total, and it's how many of them can you find within 5 minutes.
Oh, wow. Did you get them all?
No, not even close. I found 9 in the village, and then there was 3 on the way out, but that was only 12. I don't know where the last 3 or 4 were.
Would they happen to be inside of buildings?
There was at least 1 inside of a building. So you do a little bit of looting up in the inn, the upstairs in the inn, between the 2 rooms. There's like a little fountain that's got 1 in it.
You climb both the ladders?
And then there's a couple up the ladders. I think 3 on the first ladder. I don't think there was any on the second ladder. But I might have missed one there.
No, I didn't do that. I did talk to an old man who opened up a memory for me.
Oh, very good.
Did you miss it?
I think I did. I don't remember if that was the hero.
Yeah, hero. Yeah.
I did see that one. I did read that one.
There you go. So yeah, we have to travel to the old sorceress manor or mansion, which was Kime's old home.
A little bit of a Resident Evil style mansion. You got some crests, and you got to put them in the right locations and rotate things.
So yeah, I didn't get that far. I made it to the mansion and tried to follow this little ghost girl, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here, and I decided to grind here because I now have a party member who's not in my active party. So I wanted to level Ming up
Ming is very underleveled for me at this point when I realized she was in my party because as you mentioned, you don't really see her when you're walking around. She also wasn't in my main party every time I would go to like the pause screen, if you will.
Right.
And I just forgot she was part of the party. And so I had kept playing and then all of a sudden halfway through the mansion realized that I had access to her, put her in my party. I'm like, yeah, she is not inherently terrible, but just so underleveled that she's terrible. So I'm like, all right, well, I've already hit the level cap in this area, so I'm just going to grind for Ming and for SP.
So what level were you when you finished the mansion?
Either 25 or 26.
Okay. So all my characters are 25 right now except for Ming.
Yep.
So maybe I'm ready. So what ended up happening was I walked around the mansion. I saw the mirror, talked around the mirror twice. Okay, that's not doing anything. Went down the hallway, opened up a door. It made a battle happen. And then I was like, okay, there's multiple doors here. I don't know if I want to open these because these monsters kind of suck.
Yep.
And
To me, that was a perfect example of the first time I fought those monsters. My whole party was feared or stoned,
all right.
except for Mac. And I'm just there using my simple, spirit magic over and over again. And it took like 30 turns to get through that one. I'm like, I just barely survived this. Half my party didn't get XP.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm just going to grind this. I can survive it. And, yeah, I mean, it was a good example for me of like, the whole spectrum of being slightly not quite beaten by the battle, but certainly almost beaten to the point at the end where I'm like, yeah, I've done enough of these battles. I know what to do. I've leveled up a few times. I feel confident. I'm not going to lose at these battles, and I can easily use them for SP and for Ming. So it was a nice little full like power arc.
So that's another trope that I'm glad has slightly died. There's still some games that don't do it. I don't like the fact that if I have somebody out of my party, they're not gaining anything at all.
Yeah.
I get why that is. As a 35-year-old guy who works a lot of hours and doesn't have that much time, this is frustrating to me. Because, I'll tell you what, a lot of modern RPGs have fixed that, where even if you have more people in your party, they're not actually in your active party and they still get experience points and still level up. Pokemon is a great example of that. Now, there's a lot of Pokemon purists out there who say that is ruining the game. It's making it too easy. And I say, I don't care. And this game suffers majorly from that because I sat there, so I was going to try to make it through the mansion. But unfortunately, I felt like I needed to level these characters up. So I spent an hour and a half grinding. And then on top of that, which the reason why I'm so afraid that I need to level everybody up is because something that Chad mentioned in one of his emails saying that, hey, there's going to be a part in this game where you're going to play as characters you don't normally play as, so you need to make sure everybody gets leveled up. I hate that.
Yep, me too. Because it's not just leveling. It's like, do I want to give my good ring to anyone but Kaim? Because if I give it to somebody and they disappear, am I going to lose it?
Yeah. So there's a prime example for this, and it was we're going to go back in the archives here. It was a Persona 3 thing. If you remember, we did that game for Zombie Frog Game Club back in the day, Matt.
I do remember. I adore that game.
I do too. But there is a part in that game a little bit past halfway through the game, where they make you play as a character that I chose not to level up at all. At this point in the game, most of my main party is 40s. This character is like 19 or 20. And I couldn't actually get through this part. I had to reload a different save. Don't do this in your games, guys. You can't expect me to do this.
Yeah, and it's that looming fear. I definitely get that. But I did think it was okay with Ming because the automatically getting a level for every battle, essentially. If we had been getting XP for the other characters, I would have been, in that sense, more annoyed because now I'm missing out on XP from a core character to give it to Ming, who I only want leveled up enough so that I don't get screwed later. It was Jansen that I sat, specifically for this grinding session or two. And I was like, I don't want Jansen to miss XP because I need Jansen as my black mage. But the way they do it in this game, I kind of liked it because Jansen wasn't missing out on Diddley because I wasn't getting any XP anyway for my main characters.
This is true.
So, like, in that sense, I didn't have to make the choice. Do I want my good characters to be better or do I want my bad characters to be acceptable? I got to choose. Like, my characters were maxed out. Now I'm only going to level the backups. It's not a perfect solution, but I kind of like that because I didn't feel as bad about benching Jansen.
Yeah. And that's what I did too. I benched him to bring out Ming and level her up. And yeah, the leveling went relatively quickly, but some of these battles, take upwards to like 3 or 4 minutes, and I'm just like, that time adds up eventually. And I wasn't able to finish the mansion,
Yes, I'm also, because of that extra leveling, really getting to love some of the shared abilities, especially now that you've got a third mortal to pull from. I kind of feel like they're vampires, since they're immortal and they're sucking these abilities out of the mortals.
Yeah.
But specifically, in the one I'm working on right now, I haven't actually used it yet, but the idea that I've got Kaim as my strongest, physical attacker.
Right.
He's the one that goes in. He's got a ring that boosts his physical attacks. He's the guy. Like, if someone's susceptible to swinging a sword, Kaim's going to be the one swinging it.
Yep.
To pair that with Max, double hit ability.
Yep.
Skill, not spell. Or his other one that's just a power hit. I was like, that's awesome because I only because I've taken this extra time to expand his slots, and now I've used those slot spells to have the slot seeds to get all the extra spell slots. Those two things combined means I've got Kaim who can do every level of or every type of magic now. Plus, he's getting these bonuses to his physical abilities. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the fact that I think it was even in this section because some of the Reaper-looking enemies you have to use. I was mostly using spirit magic, and now I've got 4 different characters that can use spirit magic only because they all sucked that ability out of Mac.
So here's the thing that I found out though, is that if you remove Mac from the active party, you're not linked with him anymore.
Really?
That's what happened with my guy whenever I pulled Jansen out. Kaim became almost useless against monsters that were immune to magic.
Yeah.
And so I was like, great.
Well, that's weird because that defeats the whole point of the rings, right? The whole idea of the rings is you wear the ring until you've learned it, then you discard the ring.
So the rings, yes, but the stuff that the immortals learned from skill links, I feel like they have to be in the party with them because there's stuff I learned from that Kaim learned from Jansen that when I removed Jansen, Kaim didn't have it anymore.
Yeah, I must have missed that because I was just using spirit magic the whole time,
Yeah, take a
and
look.
I still
I
had Mac in my
I
party.
feel like I feel like I'm right. I could very well be wrong, but I distinctly remember when I was leveling up Ming, I was like, oh, Kaim doesn't have half the stuff he had whenever Jensen was in the party.
Huh. And it wasn't just that he was sealed, because that was a pain in the...
No, no, it was
Yeah,
multiple
there's...
fights. I realized that because Kaim has a sword that's like I can't remember what the name of the sword is, but it's like it looks like it's sweating all the time.
Yeah, that's Adamantis, right?
I think I can't remember, but it does water damage,
Yep.
and on enemies who are immune to magic, it doesn't do any damage to them.
Huh.
And now Kaim doesn't have his black magic because, well, he learned it all from Jansen, making Kaim essentially useless.
Which is another reason, I guess, to keep Ming on the bench, because you can't learn anything from other immortals, right? Can't
Yeah,
link to other immortals. So I'm not going to lose anything by benching her.
it's true. Although her composite magic's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah,
I did use that quite a lot. The all earth.
yeah. But yeah, that's where I stopped. I know you made it past this part right here.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in this mansion, but I made it through the mansion, past the boss here, and then just into one section further, into the Black Cave.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that you were behind last week. I'm behind this week. But that's okay.
Yeah, I am enjoying it though, so I'm not too concerned with. I'm not like trying to get through this just to be done with it by any means. I'm fairly well enjoying the building of my characters, and again, still kind of the micromanaging. I still love every little ding at the end of a battle when it's like Kaim has learned this skill. I'm like, yes, now I can sub in the next one.
Yep.
Keep building up that rep.
I'm big on that too.
The one thing we haven't mentioned yet that I find not aggravating, but it's the kind of thing I keep looking at. I'm like, yeah, this is probably going to annoy me before the game's over. The number of times that like I walk up to something and I see the A to interact with it, and then I hit A and nothing happens.
Really?
And either it just like didn't register that I hit the button. I feel like half the time that's what it is, and half the time it's that I've shifted 2 degrees off center and now it's no longer an option to interact, or I'm too close to it and I need to back up. I've just been really surprised at the number of times that's happened. I'm not sure why, but I have to, like, every time I'm trying to interact with something, I have to hit it like 7 or 8 times just in hopes that one of them will connect.
Also, I forgot that there was a run button in this game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I've just been jogging this whole time.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, so we can talk about some of the dreams that we unlocked this go round. I know you said you did not unlock this one, Portrait of the Dead.
Yeah, I didn't unlock this one, but I have read it now.
Okay. So yeah, this one was about Kaim was riding on a boat, I believe, with a woman whose job is to basically paint or write or draw a person's face right before they die. Like, that's their job. And she can't do it after they die. She has to do it while in the process of dying, otherwise it doesn't look right. It's almost like they even mention it in the story the death masks that they used to do back in the day.
Yeah.
And she shows Kaim her portfolio, and the last picture is a picture of a young girl that's unfinished. And she said that was her daughter, who died 3 years earlier. And she said she could never finish it because she was crying too much.
Yeah, because she only has a couple of minutes before the soul leaves the body. I think she said the timing was it has to be after they die, but before the soul departs.
Yeah, before the body cools is what she said.
Yeah. So she said you have to draw just like you've only got a couple of minutes to really capture the essence in that moment, in that transfer.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess as far as it fitting into the game, I thought it was interesting just the one, to me, weirdly specific detail that he was sipping rye whiskey. I don't know why that stuck out to me so much as I guess I know Jensen drinks, and I know Kime has been, I guess, mostly alone for these 1,000 years as far as he knows, as far as we know.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe it makes perfect sense that he would just be sitting on a boat drinking whiskey by himself. And I like that was the kind of the point, the essence that they used to connect these two, because she talks a bit about how she's looked down on in her profession because she can't get excited, because you can't show emotion because you only have a few minutes and you can't get attached to the subject because they're dead and gone. And so that she had kind of this nihilism about her, and the fact that he was alone and had that air about him because he had just come as a mercenary from the battlefield, having killed so many people. I thought that was just an interesting way to sync up that they had a similar feel about them, or she sensed that he had this, I don't know, not disdain, but had been around death a lot, and as had she, and then ending it with, he'll never need her services.
Yep.
A reminder, hey, he's an immortal.
Yep. So they like to make sure you know that.
Every 10 minutes.
Yep. The next one was when, I don't think you can miss it, Elegy Island.
Yeah, I don't think you can miss this one.
Yeah. I like this story a lot.
Yep.
Basically, it was about this island who its inhabitants were kind of cut off from the rest of the world. They had their own traditions, particularly when somebody died. They sang hymns with no particular lyrics or tune to them, and they would do it for days on end. And it was for celebration, for anger, for losing someone, for sorrow, and it all became like this long, drawn-out kind of thing that the entire island did. And sometime probably, I think they said, like 400 years ago, a kingdom, a very warlike kingdom, came in and just completely brutalized the people, killed every single person on the island. And it's basically told through like a historian is telling it, how they remember it, because Kime is sitting there on a boat going to the island with a bunch of researchers who want to basically research this island to figure out what actually happened to these people. And this young archaeologist and historian is talking to Kime, telling him about this, and of course Kime's playing coy. Stop being coy head. But saying he's never been to the island, but the rumor is that the island itself is constantly singing, and you can hear it, and the people who hear it will go mad.
And he gives her a little tiny bit of advice.
Yeah,
if you hear singing, hum along with it.
Hum along with it. But it goes into great detail of what actually happened here, because Kime knew what actually happened here because he was around during that time. This force came in and completely murdered in horrible ways the entire island inhabitants, to the point where, of course, the islanders were singing while this was going on because they were mourning the people that they lost. The remaining ones were locked up in this cave, and they wouldn't come out. And the soldiers made a cave-in happen, and they said that the singing continued for days. They could still hear it, and it drove a lot of the soldiers crazy. When they land on this island, a lot of the scientists and historians start to go a little crazy because they can hear the singing, all except for the young girl, and she comes back and says that she just heard it, and instead of trying to block it out, she listened, and come to find out it's actually a healing song. It's a song that is playing constantly to remind anyone who comes here the atrocities that happened. I thought that was a pretty good one. It was very detailed. Yeah.
Yep. It's my favorite one of this section. This play session, anyway. It didn't enlighten as much about Kaim, but it was just kind of an interesting little short story.
Yeah. The next one would be a different person's dream, Seth's dream, where she remembers her days of being a pirate. She was essentially what it was like a Robin Hood character. She would only rob the well-to-do ships and never kill anybody. Just roughed them up a little bit. Took not all of their stuff, but just some of their stuff, and distributed it to people who didn't have anything. She was well known around the pirate circles as being this way. Well, the other pirates didn't take kindly to that, so they captured her and took her to an island where nobody knew where she was, and chained her in a cave and left her there for all eternity, essentially, because they knew that she was immortal. And she lost track of the days of how long she was chained there. And then one day, a man showed up, her partner, as she kept calling him, who has wings?
Yeah, I must have misread this. I thought it was like a fairy, like a tiny, like 1-inch high fairy, in my mind.
Okay, I don't know. I was thinking it was more like an angel type guy.
Yeah, I was thinking Tinkerbell.
But he was the last of his race, and apparently they live very long lives as well. And he said that he also walks a lonely road, the only road he's ever known. And she does too. So they decided to partner up, and they both became pirates again. So she was freed from that, and it does show her crying and remembering this. She mentions the name Sed, S-E-D, but that was not what the man's name was that saved her.
Yeah, it was Aniara.
Aniara.
Yeah.
And then finally, the last one I got was the hero, which I actually like this story a lot too. And
yeah, me too.
It was about a man who was welcomed back to his home village after going up in the ranks during a war. He became a general, and his entire village was celebrating him and his victories. And they put him up on stage and were having like these actors act out all of his wonderful, glorious battles and how he won and murdered all these guys, and he's trying to be happy and joking about it, but in his mind he just remembers, yeah, I murdered a lot of people, and that changes you. And he's telling Kime this story while he is now older, and he's like standing on this hill with Kime, overlooking his troops. And as he continues on with the story, he comes to the realization that day that he doesn't want to be a killer anymore. He wants to finally live his life, which is accepting and cherishing every life on this planet. And in doing so, he is marked as a traitor and is basically just hated because he threw down his sword, essentially.
Became a sheep herder.
And that's the big reveal, is that his troops that he's overwatching were actually the sheep that he had became a shepherd.
Scruffy looking nerf herder.
Yep. But yeah, that's all the dreams that I got. Did you get any more, Matt?
I did get one other one. The bread of Grand Makoto. You didn't get that one? It was when we were in Tosca Village, just one of the people that you end up talking to, and I think it's Kime in the memory from when he was younger, and this Tosca Village was about to become a battlefield, and they're trying to get this old lady to relocate to a camp so that they don't have to worry about her while they're fighting in this village. And she basically just says, no, screw you to all the troops. I'm not going. You can't make me go. And Kime kind of befriends her a little bit. And she's like, I can't leave. I need to sow the fields because that's what I always do. I always plant these seeds. And I always make bread. And I've lost my whole family. And I've only got one kid left. And I need to make this loaf of bread so that when he comes back, we can have our tradition of sharing this loaf together. And Kime ends up convincing her in the end, I think, to go. Or he, hides her. I don't think she goes. I think he hides her. And then ends up, they fight in this village. She survives it, obviously. And then he helps her plant the seeds after, and then in the next spring. Or the next fall, I guess.
Right.
And she's like, look, I knew this is the way it was. All the older people who went over to that camp couldn't make it back because it was so far. It was 2 mountains away, and she's like, I'm just way too old to do that. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die here. And she didn't die, and then she's back at her old ways of planting the wheat, and because of the battle, they had trampled all the seeds, and there was only enough wheat that was generated to make one loaf, and she ends up sharing it with Kime in the end. I think her son had died, so he had gone out of his way to befriend this old lady, and then they broke bread together in the end.
Okay.
It was not a bad story. It was, again, I guess just a little bit on his character and how he's, I guess, thoughtful. Really, he was. They really juxtaposed him with the rest of the military men.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I've got one email. Let's see here. Where is it? There it is. Comes in from Chad. Says, howdy crew. My email this week will be unusually short as I've been inundated.
Yep.
I had a hard time reading that, apparently. Have been inundated with work lately. As for the Gongora Cobra scene, yes, that is full ham and cheesy. totally cringeworthy. Like the Robert Downey Jr. says, never go full ham and cheese. This is a great example of what I previously noted about the inconsistent tone in this game. It alternates from deeply depressing and thought-provoking scenes to what the fuck was that? All right. He says, this scene in particular reminded me of an episode of Supernatural called Hollywood Babylon, where the producers of a movie were pissing off the writers. So how do the ghosts hear the seance? Do they just have super hearing? We don't want to confuse our audience. Just write into the script that ghosts have super hearing. I can imagine a similar conversation. How did the players know that the snake attack was caused by Gongora? Just superimpose his face on the snake. It'll look cool. Most of the time, I just brush off these scenes since almost all JRPGs are cheesy in nature. However, unlike this game, traditional JRPGs are consistently cheesy, so they typically get a pass. I think the reason it stands out here is that it is similar to listening to a great singer. They may be a phenomenal vocal artist and be able to sing in a way like no else, but if they get pitchy or go off key, it hits like a hammer and you can't help but wince. Anyway, I'm about halfway through Disc 3, and I should have more to talk about next week. Hopefully everyone is at least enjoying the game at least a little bit, and it doesn't feel like a waste of time. Until next time, Chad. Oh, thank you for that email, Chad. That scene is... I don't think anything's going to top that scene.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
We didn't see much Gongora in this last play session.
Yeah, there's still an opportunity. He's got to come back.
Oh, I know.
He's got a bigger part to play in this game for sure.
He is the end goal here at this point. So yeah, we'll definitely be seeing him. Now here's a question I want to throw to you. Is Gongora the big bad of this game?
I have thought he was going to be for this whole game.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this last play session, there's been some questions of whether what he's doing is actually bad or not.
Right.
And I started thinking, I got really excited when there was a little bit of time travel. That you're just about to get to.
Oh, okay.
Which really made me think that the offhanded comment from last week about a potential for time travel might be a real thing. And then, that got me thinking about, maybe Gongora is doing some of this as a way to protect the world. Again, using magic, trying to harvest magic, trying to create this team of immortals. But I still need to go back and watch that scene because I don't know what it was that Gongora was doing as part of this immortal supergroup.
That was never said.
Yeah. But even the tone, I really want to just see that scene and see how they talk about him and that seems like such a critical scene for the game. And to your point, there should have been more context. And to my point, I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
So I got even less of it. I don't know if that complicates the idea of him being the big bad, if he used to be part of their team. Because you can certainly have jaded ex-team members who come back and want revenge, or or the other way around, and maybe the whole team made a pact to do something good, and he was the one that had to stay behind, and keep his memories and only know when to start giving them their memories back, but that doesn't make sense because he wants them not to have their memories.
Right. So I'll throw this question out to you then. Will Gongora join our party?
I think if he does,
It'll be
he's
like the
definitely not
last
the big
thing.
bad.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I think it'll be at the very end. He'll be like fighting alongside us for some reason.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which again, if it hadn't been for that scene that I didn't see, I would have probably said no. But if he was part of our team in the past, that makes me think even more that he will end up good. In my mind, it's like in Stephen King's It,
Uh huh.
how Mike Hanlon had to stay behind and bring the team back together.
Sure.
Only when Pennywise came back. Maybe he's fulfilling that role in some sense.
Yeah, could be.
He's the one that kept his memories, bringing the immortals back. It doesn't really make sense that he is trying to stop them from getting their memories unless there was a specific timing. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense.
Now that you're saying this stuff, I feel like it makes sense that Gongora is trying to protect the rest of the immortals by removing their memories.
You think protecting them, not protecting the world?
I would say protecting them. I don't know.
Mm.
He's doing this for a reason, and I don't think it's a nefarious reason.
Yeah.
It comes off nefarious because of just how shady it looks, and because of his face.
Because you're playing, yeah, and his dyed hair,
Yeah.
and the fact that you're playing as one of the people who's, the subject of his memory erasure.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see though. It's definitely getting more interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we will get the band back together. We'll get all the immortals back together.
Yeah, I don't believe that's the case, but I do see him in one particular scenario as the Mike Hanlon of this group.
Right.
For sure.
Okay. Well, there you go. Well, I think that's a good stopping point then.
I do still love Jansen.
Jansen is still quality.
I just find him funny, and it's not what he says as much as the way the voice actor delivers it.
Yeah, no, that guy is legit a good voice actor. I don't know who that is. I want to know who that is. So let's look it up here. I'm going to go to Internet Movie Database. Maybe it's there. It probably isn't, but I'm going to check it anyway. Lost Odyssey. There it is. Let's see here. Michael McGonaghan. I don't know. He is Knuckles.
Knuckles.
Yeah, from Sonic. Hasn't been in much since.
He peaked. He knew when to go out, and maybe.
I guess he did Knuckles and Sonic Adventure. Only Sonic Adventure. What is up with these?
Huh.
What? All right. 1996. Blondes Have More Guns. 1996. One Girl, Two Guns. Is it a sequel?
He was in an Ace Ventura video game? I didn't even know such a thing existed.
What? Where do you see this at?
Ace Ventura Pet Detective, The Case of the Serial Shaver?
I do not see this at all.
I'm on some website, behindthevoiceactors.com.
Ah, I gotcha.
He plays Ace Ventura, leading man.
Oh, there you go.
This cannot be a good game, though.
I would assume no.
Looks like he played in a game, Ground Control.
To Major Tom? Tara Strong plays Seth. Did not realize that.
Looks like he did some cartoon As Told by Ginger, which looks like Rugrats animation style. But
it's like a Nickelodeon style.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. He does a great job, though.
Yeah, he does.
Anyway. So, yeah, I think that's going to be it for us. I appreciate everybody listening. Go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to ask how you're feeling, if you have any... I mean, other than the story, other than the characters, how are you feeling about this game as we're just about getting to the halfway point?
I'm feeling okay. I'm still enjoying it. It hasn't necessarily slowed down too much. It slowed down during the funeral stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
But that was kind of, I get why they had that in there. But it's been going by relatively quickly.
Yep. It does move us from place to place pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And they're quite different places. Like all of a sudden we're in a haunted mansion.
Yeah.
Like that, it's just kind of out of nowhere.
Which is, fun fact, the place where I stopped last time. So the last time I played this game, this is where I made it to.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay. I'm actually more excited now that it'll be new for both of us.
Yeah. After this part, in fact, I never made it through this mansion. In fact, I think I did the exact same thing I did here. I was like, I don't know where I'm going. These monsters suck. I saved it and quit and never went back to it. So, yeah, this will be all new territory for me.
Yeah, it's while I was in that mansion that I decided to go back to Numara and pick up all those extra items. And then they put up little barriers so you can't go back into Numara.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Because I had worked it all out because there's an item shop in there that has new weapons, which I'm like, okay, I could just buy new weapons. That sounds like a pretty easy upgrade because I haven't barely spent any money on anything in this game. And also you can buy all kinds of new bracelets and bands that give you protection from getting stoned and protection from fear, all those things. I'm like, yeah, I want all of those so I can start distributing those capabilities to my team. And then, but to do that, you have to try to go into the back room. It won't let you in. Then you need to go to a different building, get a secret password, then go back to the item shop, give the password, and then you can get into the back room, which allows you to buy all the stuff. So I was all set to do all that. I had it all sorted out, and then I just can't get back into Numara.
Great.
So that canned that whole idea.
Yeah. Unfortunately. I'm sure we'll get back there eventually.
Yeah, and if not there, we'll get to the next city, and I'll have saved up even more gold.
Yeah. There was a vendor in the inn and the little village right before the mansion.
Yep. But he didn't have weapons, I don't think.
Yeah, he had weapons. I bought weapons there.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I gave everybody a new shiny weapon.
I'm feeling disadvantaged now all of a sudden.
Yeah, it worked for me. But yeah, I'm feeling good. We'll see what happens. I'm excited because I haven't seen any of the rest of this game. So
yeah, all new.
Yep.
Whole new world.
Mm-hmm. Don't you dare close your eyes. Man, I just keep referencing songs this episode. I don't know what's
Still
going
want
on.
to miss the thing?
I guess. Jesus. Jeremy spoke in class today. I don't know. That one popped in my head. But yeah, if you would like to send an email, please do. It's drew@ztgd.com. You can also tweet to us. I am at Drew Leachman. Matt is at REMGS, and the podcast itself is at ZTGD Phoenix Down. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for us. We're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna try to keep up. I'm gonna try to. I think what we should easily finish the second disc this playthrough.
Oh yeah.
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 And yeah, we'll move on to disc number 3. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Until next time, I am Drew.
And I'm Matt.
And we're gone. You guys have a great week. We'll be back next week with the continuation of Lost Odyssey.